Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, How to Create a Culture of Safety with CSA and Tenstreet. We are so glad you're here. This webinar we're doing, it comes as a companion to our webinar we'd held a couple weeks or so ago on how to reduce the risk of having a nuclear verdict leveled against your company. So in that webinar you may have been a part of on the 10th, Shannon Wheeler, our general counsel here at Tenstreet, talked about an investment in safety being your strongest defense to reduce this risk. So in our webinar today, we just wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about how you can build that defense by creating a culture of safety in your company. And then we're also going to unveil our new CSA integration, which we are really excited to show you. My name is Leah Kelly, and I'm here today with Marilyn Serber, our safety advisor, among other things, and Elizabeth Sontag, director of product. Before I let them get to the good stuff, though, I just have a couple housekeeping items to cover. Please know that this webinar will be recorded and you will receive a copy of the recording to the email address you used to register for the webinar within the next 24 hours. If you have any questions at all during the webinar, just please don't hesitate to ask them by typing them into your GoToWebinar questions panel. And we'll address those at the end of the webinar during our live Q&A session. Just that said, we do have about 700 people on this webinar, so we most likely won't get to all your questions, but if you go ahead and type them in any way, we'll be sure to be able to follow up with you individually after the webinar. And then one more thing, we also do have a really special offer for everybody who joined today to show our appreciation for your attending. We're offering you a full free month of our CSA integration, but we're only extending this offer until October 1st, so make sure that you take advantage of that before the time runs out. So you'll probably want to get, everything started to be implemented, I guess, around late August to make sure you get, take advantage of the full month. And that's an exclusive offer. You can learn more from your advisor or salesperson. That only applies to our webinar attendees today. So we're excited to be able to offer that. And now Marilyn is going to start talking about how we can create a culture of safety.
Thank you, Leah, and thank you, Elizabeth, for running the slideshow for us. And as Leah said, to follow up from Shannon's webinar and how to build your best defense, we know in cases of nuclear verdicts that the most common and successful theme for plaintiffs' attorneys is to attack a carrier's safety practices. And so with that, you really need to start building your safety culture, not just with your drivers or with your safety department, but with creating a culture of safety throughout your entire organization. And there are several things that have proven to help companies do that. One of them being that safety starts with recruiting. And so when you talk about what does the culture of safety look like in your organization, what do your recruiters know about safety? How are they thinking about safety in their daily work when they're qualifying drivers every day? And what kind of compliance and safety measures do you have in place, making sure that you are checking all of those safety boxes, running all of the necessary reports, that all of the folks that need to sign off on an accident or anything that's happened, all of those practices need to be in place. And it needs to be documented. What is your hiring practice? What do they look like? What are your hiring standards? Where are you making exceptions? Who's making those approvals? And having it well documented so that plaintiffs' attorneys can't go after it. You also need to have documented employee training and engagement that kind of mirrors your driver training and engagement. You see a lot of times, a lot of companies have a lot of driver training, but maybe their employees are not trained on the same things. So making sure that you have, again, documented training schedules and documented training subjects for your drivers and for your employees, and managing that process and engaging everybody company-wide in that process. So if you have safety themes and safety topics that you're covering, make that company-wide. Talk about that so that everybody in your organization understands the pulse of safety and how important it is really to keep your trucks moving up and down the road. That goes hand in hand with data management, making sure you have a way to manage all of the safety information that you're getting in, and then also the training and things that you might be doing. Where are you documenting all of that stuff? Is it clear? What is in your driver handbook? Does that match what you're actually doing? Does everybody who's engaging with drivers on a daily or weekly, quarterly, yearly basis, do they know what's in that driver handbook? Have they been given access and copies of everything that they are then in turn asking drivers to do, really creating a tight process there so that everybody who's interacting with drivers or could be asking your driver to do something is aware of what your policies are and what you've told drivers they will be asked to do. Create that visibility with your data, with your handbooks, through a system, through a documented system, which is what we're going to talk to you about today, making it really easy to show anybody who might be asking or anybody who needs to know, what are your training plans? What is your data management? What are your policies? Who all has been exposed to them? Having real visibility to that. Another thing that we know that is effective in organizations is to create real safety champions. And that can be in the form of people from each department. You might have some drivers that have a special designation. And the same with office staff that really kind of carry the flag of safety and watch out for safety and make sure to always be kind of cheering people along and educating people about what's happening in the world of safety. Other things that are great are bonus programs, rewarding for safety. You know, whenever drivers do things right and are safe, how are we rewarding them for that? And that really goes a long way with creating a culture of safety and letting drivers know and your office staff know that it's important, and it's important enough to tie a dollar value to it. Next slide, please, Elizabeth. Another thing with the culture in your organization is making sure that safety is the main priority. Going back to Shannon's webinar, you know, plaintiffs' attorneys will try to say that companies will put profits over safety. And so there's things that you can do and practices that you can put in place to build a defense against that. And one of those things is closely monitoring your company's CSA data. You know, what is your CSA score? And document the steps that you have to improve those safety ratings, and document your internal safety programs. So not only monitoring it, but doing something about it. Because one of the worst things that companies can do is to have information that could possibly be negative for the company or for the driver, and then not follow up on it or do anything about it. Make sure you enforce the safety policies and procedures that you have with documentation. So we talked about having a driver handbook. Don't put it in your driver handbook if you're not going to enforce that policy. So make sure you know, and the people that are having to enforce it know what's in that handbook and that they're enforcing those procedures. Ensure that your company witnesses are knowledgeable about your company policies, but also about the safety in the industry. It's always changing. There's new things happening all the time. Make sure you have folks in your company who are knowledgeable about what those changes are. Invest in safety technology in your trucks. There's so much great technology available today for carriers: automatic braking technology, lane change departures, cameras. There's all types of technology that you can invest in, whatever is right for your company. But that really helps you build a defense too, to say we're trying to do everything we can do to know what drivers are doing right and what drivers are doing wrong, and then training. And then, by the way, we're going to correct it when we know drivers are doing something wrong. And have a documented training process for your orientation. Also throughout employment. So how are you training drivers post-hire? Are you training them? Are there monthly safety topics or quarterly safety topics? Are you doing live safety meetings? You have video training. You know, how are you getting ongoing training out to drivers? And then up to date and responsive with your training whenever a driver has a violation or a driver does something wrong. How are you responding quickly and immediately? And how are you documenting that? Next slide, Elizabeth. Go over and above the compliance, the FMCSA compliance. You know, FMCSA governs us and gives us regulations, and that's really the minimum of what we need to do. And so go above and beyond regulatory compliance and those minimum safety standards. Some things that you can do for that are additional hiring practices. So, you know, you're running your background checks, your PSP, you're documenting strict hiring standards and the accident and incident history. You're making sure you have a clear process in place for everybody who has to make those decisions and has to look at drivers history to know what those requirements are. And you're doing additional monitoring throughout tenure. So what kind of drug testing are you doing? How often are you doing your MVR monitoring? Your clearinghouse checks. So you know annual queries have to be done once a year. That's the minimum. You could do them quarterly to just keep your process in check to make sure that you know what's going on with your driver population. Hours of service checks and safety blitzes, all of those types of things are over and above what FMCSA says you have to do, and that looks good to a jury and to your insurance company, you know, whenever you're trying to build your defense and show your insurance company what kind of safety practices you have in place. Next slide, please, Elizabeth. So that brings us to CSA. And what is CSA? I think probably most of the folks on this call know that it stands for Compliance, Safety, and Accountability. And it's this compliance and safety enforcement program of FMCSA. It holds motor carriers and drivers accountable for their role in safety. As you guys well know, as motor carriers, CSA affects you. It affects owner operators by identifying the safety problems to prioritize them for interventions such as warning letters and investigations. CSA affects drivers because their safety performance and compliance impact their safety records, and while working for a carrier will impact their carrier safety record. Next slide, please. And we're going to talk to you a little bit today about how we can help you with CSA, and some best practices for CSA management include daily monitoring, making sure you understand what violations are coming in for your drivers on a daily basis, setting up alerts so that you're notified whenever a violation happens, doing automatic training assignments. So whenever any of your drivers receive a violation, training can automatically be issued and filed for that driver, and monitor your score in real time. All of those practices help you as an organization manage your CSA and build your best defense against a nuclear verdict. Next slide, please, Elizabeth. So how is the CSA integration going to help you? Our CSA integration with Tenstreet is going to help you by eliminating multiple sites that you have to log into to see those safety scores. We have a great feature, infraction to action, that we are really excited about, that maps 692 specific violations to specific training for drivers. It automatically sends that training and notification to the drivers through Pulse, email, and text, and emails training reminders to the drivers. Our CSA infraction summary widget shows you the violations, crashes, and training statuses that are complete and overdue for drivers. And this complete system really helps you create that culture of safety, which we've said and will continue to say is your best defense to protect your company against a nuclear verdict. And now we are going to hand it over to the wonderful Elizabeth Sontag, who is going to show you what that system looks like.
Hey, thanks, Marilyn. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the new tool for the CSA information. We've got a little information here that tells us a little bit about the different layers. So we've got the foundation layer that gives us the information. So we get the information from the integration that goes into the infraction action engine with our training content. From there, the automation layer happens. So nobody has to actually initiate any training. The training is done automatically. Safety teams get notifications automatically and training reminders go out. Then we have the interactive layer. That is the safety tool that I'm going to show you today, as well as the safety widget and driver pulse, which allows the drivers to go in and complete any kind of content that may be scheduled for them. So I'm just going to do a little pause real fast while I get my screen switched out. Okay, I think you guys should be able to see the dashboard. This should look familiar for everyone. So I am in my tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select safety management. And this is going to pull me into the safety tool. And my very first option here is the CSA monitor. And underneath the CSA monitor, I've got two different tabs. I've got my CSA activity and my CSA tools. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm able to see over to the left that I have my basic scores here. I also have my ISS score and the information that's has come in each month. So that's my monthly daily data that is there. Over to the side, I have my ISS information and I have some anticipated points trends here. And I'm able to see what is going to fall off and what looks like it's going to arrive back on the next monthly update. I can see the violations that are removed, reduced, and then I can click View Details. And this will load the information so I can see the actual violations and information. Everywhere through this tool, you'll notice that you're able to click in and it will take you to the inspection report. So here I can see the inspection report information, my driver's name, the equipment, and any violations that were from this inspection. All right, so if we wanted to drill down to a specific basic, I can click here for unsafe driving, and this is going to give me my information. So I've got my threshold percentile, category percentile, and category score. I've got my trends here, my 2-year average, anticipated end of month percentage, and anticipated score. Below that, I have options to see different trends. So I can filter based on different time frames. If I filter on that time frame, then it's going to show me the trends, and it's also going to show me all of the violations below for that time frame. Each one of the options are sortable, so I could sort by different options if I wanted to, or again, I can click into it and it gives me the inspection details for the report or the information that I click into. You'll notice also down here, it does have the reduction dates, so it gives you the dates for the standard reduction time for the CSA violation. Scrolling on up, underneath my activity, I have next my basic combines. And in my basic combines, it gives me all of my basics and then each month. So I can go out to 2 years and I can see all of the information for my basics for the last 2 years. And then also see a trend line on the far right for that information. Soon it's going to have the option to switch between your score and your percent. So you'll be able to see both of those with your trend lines. Next is my event details. So clicking in my event details, I also see here that I have my filters, so I can select my time frame, and then it's going to show me a chart over to the left that gives me my 2 years of inspection counts. So I can hover over and it gives me the month and then the count for that month of the inspections. And everywhere else, you're able to click into the information, and here I have my inspection details. So I can see that information for that specific inspection. Scrolling down, I'm able to see my violation history. So it's going to give me my violations and my chart, also my crash history, and then if there are any serious violations that are reported. And again, these are clickable, so we can click into those. We can see the driver's information. We can also sort any of this information so that it can sort it in the order. There, that's the order that you would like to see it in. Okay. I am going to swap over here to my tools, and we have several different tools that you can use for the CSA monitor. One of the tools that's available first is your common violations. And so underneath that, you'll see I have my unsafe driving, my crash indicators, each one of my basics listed out. I can select any of those basics that I would like, and then I can also select the time frame. And then it's going to show me my most common violations for that. And clicking into this, I'm able to see each one of those. So I can see here is a incident that had that, and I can actually use my binoculars to look into it to see my inspection report data. So then I can filter in and click in to see the data for that inspection that had that violation. So you're able to click through those. And so if I sort it for 24 months, it's going to show me the number of incidents, the code, and the description for that. And again, I'm able to click on each one of these basics, and it will load that information for me for each basic. Under our top offender, we can sort based on the month, and we'll see our top offenders for this specific, for the violations. So here I have Andy Anderson, and it shows Andy had 8 violations, 7 crashes, 15 incidents, and a total severity of 39. I can click on this little green arrow next to Andy, and it will actually open a subject view where I can get to the CSA view. And here I'm able to see all of the stuff at a driver level. So what we were just looking at was all at a company level, and then I can filter down to the specific driver. And so I can see all of the inspections, crashes, any serious violations, or violations that Andy has been associated with. All of that information matched Andy whenever the integration was completed. I'm able to click into those from Andy's subject view, and I can see the inspection report as well. So I can see all of the information there for that inspection. I can see the weight, and then I can see the actual violations from that inspection. All right, our next is our cleanest inspection. So opposite of our top offenders, if we click on cleanest inspections and we click on our filter date, it will show us all of the drivers who have had inspections, and it shows 2 or more inspections in any inspections that have been cleaned. So if there were no violations that resulted from an inspection, they would have 100%. A lot of people like to reward their drivers when they have clean inspections, and so this would give you the information for all of the drivers that had clean inspections. The inspections do go off the violations, and so it's looking for anybody that has 50% or higher for the violations. So you could sort through this information and see all of the drivers here specifically that have the clean inspections. Unmatched drivers. So in our unmatched drivers, this is going to be any driver that we're not able to find a match for them in Tenstreet. If I have a driver that's here, and for instance, Barry Bonds. So we have Barry Bonds. I can click on Barry. It shows his name, date of birth, and his driver's license number. It says that he had an inspection and the date of the inspection. If we could match Barry based on his name or his driver's license number, it would show you potential drivers listed here. If you're not able to find a match for Barry, like this guy, then we can click on Add New Subject, and that will open a phone app and put the information in for us so that we could create a new subject that would then link this inspection to that driver. If there was a match for Barry, it would say the name, and then it would have this link button here that you could click on, and then that would automatically link that inspection to that driver. There is a button here for Not My Driver. If Barry was never your driver, then you can click on Not My Driver, and what it will do is it will remove Barry from the list behind. So it would remove him from this list. There's still that additional step to go out to the CSA and actually dispute that information, but it will remove him from your unmatched drivers. So you can kind of monitor this list and see if there are any unmatched drivers and match those up so that then they could get some training content for that infraction to action. Okay. So we've kind of seen the tool a little bit here, and we're going to move on and we're going to talk a little bit about infraction action. So if a driver has an infraction, we are going to be able to set it up so that it will auto-assign our class for that driver. As Marilyn said, we've mapped many of these with our standard mapping, and so each one of these are going to be available under configuration and auto-assign classes. We're going to be able to click into the code or the description for the violation. It's also going to show you here that the configuration type is default, which is the system set that we have done, and what task is needing to be completed to complete that. So I'm going to log into here, or I'm sorry, I'm going to click into here, and it's going to show me my code. It's also going to show me the description, and then it's going to give me the violation. So here we've mapped that if this violation is reported, then this driver should get a training course of hazmat training. And that's automatically set up by default. If you choose that you want to customize or you want additional information to be set out whenever there is an infraction that is reported, you'll have options to add new actions. So here you could customize and you could say, well, for hazmat, I want him to have a hazmat training, but I also would like to require an additional course. Apply a tag, change a status, or once the hazmat training is completed, I would like to assign another training course tag or status for that driver. So you can actually go in and you would be able to customize the information that's sent out to the driver if there is an infraction that's reported. So once you complete that, then you would be able to save it, and you would have your own customized for each one of these entries. So there's 932 different options that you could change and you could customize, but we will always load it with the default, and then you're able to map and change the configurations if you would like. So a driver will be assigned the content and enrolled in the content immediately whenever it comes in. And then we set the due date out for 1 week after they have been, after the violation has been recorded. We will then remind them to complete the information as they go through the process. So we we'll send out reminders to remind them that they have content that needs to be completed in order to finish that up. Okay. Another tool that you'll have access to is when you go to your home page and you go to your widget, you're going to have an infraction summary widget. This widget is at the bottom going to show you all of your infraction action overview. And there are some filters that are available for you. So if you have multiple DOT numbers, you could select if you wanted to see all, or if you were just wanting to drill into one specific DOT number. If you also wanted to filter by work list, you could do that. And you can pick how far or how back in the future do you want to go. Do you want to go 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days? And then for infraction status, I want to see all, I want to see completed, pending, or anything that's overdue. You can simply save your filters, or you can just refresh and it will reload the information. So I am able to see each one of my drivers, the violation, the course, and the course status, the date that it was assigned, and then how many days left do they have. So here I can see all of my infraction action overview. If I scroll up, I can also see an overview of my CSA. So I can see all of my recent violations and my recent crashes. And much like the filters below, I can select if I have multiple DOT numbers, if I wanted to filter it by work list, and how far back do I want to see. I can see 1 day, 7 days, or 30 days. Again, I'm going to click in, and those are clickable, so it will allow you to see that information. Now we can also go in, oops, sorry, I clicked too many times there. We can also go into our actions that's in the top corner, and this has the option for us to be able to email this to me. So whenever I click on the email to me, it's going to allow me to get an email every day with this information. So it's going to show me any new violations that were recorded, any new accidents, any new or any training content that needs to be completed. It's also going to show me any unmatched drivers. So that information would be emailed to you daily, and you can subscribe to that daily email right through this widget. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause just for one more second, and I'm going to go back over to our slideshow. All right, Marilyn, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. It's so cool. I'm so excited about this tool. I really think it's a game changer for companies, and I think tying it all together, managing the entire life cycle of a driver in one dashboard is just so exciting. Starting from your marketing process through recruiting, onboarding, and safety, you can really do everything that you need to do with Tenstreet. And as it pertains to safety, beyond the CSA tool, the checklists that are available, clearinghouse, PSP, DQF management, our full training content library, our document assignment and storage, our accident violation tracking and points management, the ability to do bulk attendance, bulk enrollment for training, your annual MVR and MVR monitoring, your annual clearinghouse reports, now our CSA integration. And really, I think, and that huge game changer is just this automated workflow and your infraction to action. And really, if we go back to what we were talking about in the beginning and building your best defense and creating that visibility and creating the data management through one tool really allows you as a safety professional, as a carrier, to present a consistent, coherent theme and process to a plaintiff's attorney, to auditors, to anybody who is looking into what the processes are in your organization. And it really it's a complete program that allows you to be compliant and measure all of that compliance at every step of your process. And so I really think this CSA tool, it's just a game changer whenever you think about those things. So we're really excited about it. And Elizabeth, thank you for doing such a great job on demoing it for us.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let's talk about implementation and how to get started. So the process is pretty straightforward. For some of you, we already have your DOT number and we are pulling in monthly information. So that data is coming in for free. You have the option to go to the tool and actually click to upgrade. So all primary users today will have access to safety management in CSA. This is rolling, this is rolling over the next couple of days, forgive me. So you shall see the safety management view in the CSA. So if you're in there, if we don't have your DOT number, it's going to give you the option to pick between a free version, which is just monthly information, or it's going to give you the ability to ask for an upgrade. And so you have a couple of different options for the tiers. We have options for tracking, training, and tailoring. And so while you look through the different options of this, you're going to have different things that are included. And so with our tracking, that's going to give you the ability for the integration with the CSA, and all of the information is going to come into the system. If you move up to training, it's going to include the training content from our library, the Pulse integration, and features the infraction to action, which automatically will assign the drivers a mobile-friendly standard training course for them to complete to the 692-ish CSA violations that we have. It will send that over automatically, so you don't have to worry about any of that additional. If you decide to move up to tailoring, it also includes everything that we just talked about, but it also gives you the ability to customize and add additional information over into your infraction action automation, and then also customize your driver enrollment and reminder automation through that. So there's a couple of different options for you there. If you want to upgrade, just let us know. We're already pulling monthly information in as a service for you guys if we have your DOT number. If we don't, then you can put it in the tool and that will get you started as well. Your advisor will reach out to you and they can start you on the process of talking you through your different options and the price points for those. And again, this will be rolling out over the next couple of days. So you can go ahead and click in to get started and take advantage of the promotional pricing that Leah had talked about earlier, or the promotional months, and we'll get you going. Okay. I am going to open it up for questions. Leah, if you want to start with questions, we will get them answered.
Yes, thank you both. So great job. I did want to apologize, first of all. It sounds like there were a few audio issues people were having. I'm not sure if that was because they were calling in on their phone and not the computer, but at any rate, some could hear fine and others couldn't, so I apologize for that. And just know that you'll be receiving a recording of the webinar within the next 24 hours, and so you can review it then. And again, sorry about that inconvenience. Okay, so on to questions. Let's see, there's a few pricing questions we have, so we can just hit those right away if you like to, just what the cost is for each plan. Which is gonna, okay, yeah. I'll go ahead and answer that one if you want to, It's just gonna vary. It's gonna vary. You're gonna wanna check with your salesperson and your advisor, and they'll work out the best plan for you. So that's going to vary a little bit. just to let you know, like most of our services kind of do. And can you view the training before you assign it to a driver?
You can. So in our dashboard, you also have the option to go into your tools, and you can view any training content that is Tenstreet training content by going into your managed courses and classes. There's an option there where you can preview all of the training content.
Yes, that's a very cool feature. All from one place. Let's see. If you have an integration with, Vertical Alliance, Infinity, can you also base any of the training, automate the training to go based on the violations received that way?
If you want to adjust the training lesson, so that would be like a customized tier for it, and you could definitely talk to your advisor about those options to get you set up on the customized level for it.
So that would be the last tier, I think.
That's correct, yes.
I'm looking through all of these, so thanks for your patience. What if you have multiple DOT numbers?
If you have multiple DOT numbers, you just can sign up for all of your multiple DOT numbers. In the top, the demo system we have only has one DOT number, but you're able to actually drop down and you would be able to select and see the data for each DOT number that you have. So if you have multiples, we can handle that and help you with that as well.
Okay. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. And are you able to see yesterday's violations or just the last month? And I know there's another question in here that is asking about if it's possible to see new hires right upon hiring. So I guess how quickly can you see these scores for people that you hire, and how far back can you see them?
Oh, yeah, great question. So for the CSA, the way that it works is that you have your option to see your monthly, which is the free version. So you could just see your monthly scores with the public information. Or if you go forward and you do a daily integration, that means that the information would be updated daily. And so it would pull over any new violations that are reported daily. And that would be the two different types. So you can see either just monthly basic information without any private information, or you can see daily information that would integrate every day. And so every day you would be able to see new information on any new violations that are reported.
And your new drivers too. So say you hire somebody and then the very next day, do you have access to their CSA score?
So if they have, if you have a new driver, they would, until they had a violation that was reported, then that's when it would come into the CSA and it would attach to that driver.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. There's a couple questions around how quickly this takes, if it's ready to go now, and then if, how quickly does it take to get set up? It looks like some people are looking at other vendors and they just kind of want to know, that information in their decision making.
Yeah, so the implementation is pretty straightforward. It just takes just a short amount of time to get it going. There's a couple of steps that have to be processed to get you going. But once we get everything approved and done, the setup is very, very quick. Okay,
good. That's what they wanted to hear, I bet. And let's see, are the reports printable for individual drivers and company-wide?
So I think they're asking if they could export the data, and they will be able to export the data, yes. I believe that's what they're asking.
I think so too. They could export it and they could print it out that way.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's a question about the training content, which is exciting. We're excited to be able to explain that a little bit more. They're wondering what it actually is. Are they just videos? Are they quizzes? Are they fact sheets? Or what does that look like?
So our training is interactive content with quizzes built in. And so it goes through in an animated format, a subject matter, and then every 90 seconds or so, there's a quiz question or two until the driver completes the entire lesson.
Yes, it's a great library we've been building out. It's probably got over, Marilyn, how many is it today that we have?
We are at 70 titles now.
70 titles, right? And they have videos, and it's like Marilyn said, it's interactive to where you can, sometimes there's multiple choice or matching or true false, and then that information how they did it on the how they performed goes into Express, and they have credit for that training. Let's see.
Looks like there was also a question about training if you can assign it without a violation, and you can. If you are can purchase our training library, you have access to assign that training to drivers at any time. And if separately.
Yes, thank you for seeing that question. Yes, thank you very much. The training is all mobile friendly. See, the drivers can complete this from there. It's actually built. It's not just mobile friendly, it's mobile first, meaning it was designed with mobile devices in mind. So it is made not strictly, but it was made with the mobile technology in mind first. So what else? Yeah, I'm going to send a PDF out of all of the slides that we covered here as well, and you'll also get a recording too of everything. So if you did have audio problems, or even if you didn't, you'll be able to cover that once you get that recording, and then you can always reach out to us if you have questions. We'll reach out to you as well to let you know how we're proceeding. Well, you will surely get more information about this as we roll it out in email form and login notices and all that good stuff. But definitely ask if you do have a question. Will the CSA platform be integrated with the driver management platform? So for example, if a driver has a crash that's not a DOT reportable, the crash will not become part of the CSA database. However, we may document that same crash in the Tenstreet accident registry platform and assign the accident points. So will all the data be integrated, the accident registry as well as CSA?
That's something that we can look at with your account manager, and we can talk through, if you're using both of those products, how we could make those things work together.
Excellent.
There are a couple questions about the length of training. And I would say the average is probably about 7 minutes, but the training courses range from 2 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on the subject, but the average is in that 7 to 8 minute range.
Okay, good, thank you. One question about CSA integration, does it offer daily driver MVR monitoring?
So the monitoring is separate from the CSA. So if you are interested in monitoring, reach out to us and we can kind of let you know what options we have available for that.
Okay, good. All right, well, I think we answered a lot of these. I don't want to spend too much time on the Q&A just because I want to let you be respectful of your time, and but we will reach out to you individually if we didn't get to your question, and just keep an eye out in your inbox for the recording of the event, and we will absolutely be in touch too to answer any questions, like I said, that we didn't get to. Keep in mind though that you remember, if you do want to try this out, you will get a full free month available. Just make sure that you sign up before, that it ends. The offer is only extended until October 1st. So you want to get in before that to make sure you take advantage of the full month. So that again is exclusive just to you guys today for coming and joining us and letting us have part of your day. We really appreciate it. And Elizabeth and Marilyn, if you don't have anything else to add, we'll just go ahead and close out.
Thank you guys for spending your afternoon with us.
Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.